reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's PAX Prime coverage is brought to you by GoDaddy. Use the coupon code MMOReporter199 to get your next domain for only $1.99. Hi everybody, Chris here from MMO Reporter. I am still hanging out with Tryon World and taking a look at all the different properties that they have to offer for us. Taking a look at Rift right now, very, very excited. Can you just, for some of our viewers who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself? Let us know that...
I'm Bill Daglar Fisher. I'm the executive producer on Rift, and we showed these guys a little bit of Nightmare Tide, what we're calling Rift 3.0.
Yeah, it's amazingly exciting. We just got a chance to get the demo, so let's cut to that right now so we can take a look at exactly what they have to offer with 3.0.
So one of the things I always like to start with, just because we're starting, it's a good place to talk about it. We've always prided ourselves in sort of like learning from our customers and sort of interacting with our customers a lot. And one of the things we learned in Storm Legion when we released our last expansion was that there were two main groups of players. There were the players that want to get to the expansion by the story. They want to know why they're going. They want to know what their motivation is. They're going to do the quests to get there. They're going to take their time. And then there's the other people that log in and spam the chat channel. How do I get to the new zone? And so we made sure that we catered to both groups. There is a storyline if you want to go there and figure out why you're going there and what the reason for going there is, and then, or you can just port right there. It's like, get me there as fast as possible. I don't care about story schmory. Where are the new zones? So in you go. Plane of water.
Nice.
Yes, welcome to the Plane of Water. This is a plane of nightmares and dreams. So as you know, with Rift, we have 6 different planar types, but all of them have these kind of secondary aspects to them, these emotions. So nightmares and dreams are the aspects of the Plane of Water. The Plane of Water is actually the manifestation of the dreams and thoughts of a greater being known as Drom. And as the Ascended have entered the planes and other planar enemies have entered the Plane of Water, his dreams are being disturbed. So that's going to really affect what players experience here in the Plane of Water. Now, as you can see, you're an Ascended. You're an Ascended badass. You're here underwater, but we wanted to make sure the underwater experience was the best we could possibly provide. So we've speeded up swimming, we've adjusted camera angles, we've taken a lot of feedback from some tests that we did in live content to make this the best experience we possibly can.
You don't need to breathe, for example. No breath bar here. Plus another really cool way of getting around. This guy.
You could say we've literally jumped the shark with Rift at this point in time, and there is an achievement for that.
It definitely is, and boy, can he jump. Yes, he can jump. But this is water like you've never really seen it before as well. Water in the Plane of Water behaves somewhat differently. The story will tell you about, as Bill was mentioning, Drom is awakening and disturbing his dreams, and he is really, his dreams are the creator of the Plane of Water. And so some really strange and disturbing things are happening here as he wakes. The water is being drained, but it doesn't run out like it does out of a bath. It sort of just actually gets taken out in chunks and is left behind these big vertical walls of water. And I didn't make myself
You should
invincible.
probably, yes, make yourself invincible, because that will make the demo far easier. So over the last several months in Rift, we've introduced a variety of storylines kind of foreshadowing Nightmare Tide. One of those storylines is the storyline of the Bloodfire Army. The Bloodfire Army are the forces of the Plane of Fire after Malforge has been slain that have been invading Talara. And through the storyline, the players have beaten these forces back and kind of redirected where they're going. The Plane of Fire said, you know what, maybe Talara is a little too rough for us. Let's set our sights somewhere else. So they've actually set their sights on the Plane of Water, and they're one of the major forces disrupting Drom's dreams and changing it and causing this this very strange environment, this water like you've never seen before. One of the other advantages of this is all kind of tied, again, it's all tied into the story, but again, feedback from our player base as we've done testing with underwater content to improve it. Only about 10% of the expansion is actually underwater at any given time as we're driving you through the main storyline. You know, we understand that that can be very fatiguing, so we want to make sure it's a really good experience and nobody, you know, walks away with, oh my god, underwater, I've played this in a game before and I didn't like it.
But the other thing that it really did is it added a sort of like vertical element to all of the zones. So they are pretty large zones, but it's also, looking at the map, it's actually deceptive, because even though the zones are big, just looking here, they're even bigger than that when you actually get in there, because there's so much sort of like up and down into the zone as well. So we can like figure out ways of getting really high up in the zone by using these nightmare tide pools. Yes.
Yeah, it's really been amazing just exploring through the plane of water and seeing all the different types of places you can get to and trying to figure out, how do I get up there? How do I get over there? Which has always been a big hit for players in Rift.
Right, let's skip forward. So a lot of overland content, and just sort of like the storyline will take you into the water, out of the water, and back in again. Whenever we take you into the water, though, we want it to be an amazing, beautiful experience. So I don't know how familiar you are with the cenotes of South America, but that's what our artists took inspiration from here. And I just come down here just to marvel at what they've managed to do. It's just
so beautiful to me. I feel like I'm in a spa as I'm going through these places. I wish I could go swimming there.
It almost feels warm and tropical, which is good because it's cold in here.
So, as Nightmare Tide is an expansion, one of the other things that always comes with expansions is levels. And the levels are completely for free to all players in Rift. We're going to go ahead and skip forward here.
Yeah, I will, but I'll bring that up.
So Rift has an extremely in-depth soul system that people maybe are familiar with. A lot of choices to make, a lot of things like that. And we really didn't want to complicate the system too much further as we add these 5 additional levels. So instead of just adding more soul points and destroying every build that players have come to know and love over the last year or two, we decided to add masteries. So you select 1 mastery per level that you increase from a suite of masteries. You can only have 1 selected at a time. And those are tied to the current build that you have, but you can change your mastery at any point in time out of combat. So you might have the perfect warrior build for you, everything's set up for the way you like to play, but you know what, you don't like this mastery. Just switch it over as soon as you're out of combat. And it's just, one of those features in Rift where we want to make sure you can play the way you want to play, make it as easy to customize your character as humanly possible, and yeah, really make it your own. The other thing we're trying to do from a design perspective with the masteries is create synergies which haven't been existing before between some of the classes. The masteries allow us a lot more leeway to play with things as opposed to them being in a soul tree where, this is only for the tank, this is only for this, maybe this one is for healers and tanks together, and you've now created a new build because of this addition of a mastery.
So the masteries are tied into the particular role and soul combination that you got at that time. So if you have one role, you can have 1 set of masteries, and then if you change to a different role, you go from your, your bard spec on your rogue to your tank spec on your rogue. Can you set those masteries, or do you have to go in and manually change them?
No, they're saved to the role, but you can change them at any time if you'd like.
Perfect.
So you've got your bard set up,
yeah,
and you like this mastery for this encounter, and you like that mastery for another encounter. Just swap.
Perfect.
It's kind of both.
Yeah.
So you can save it and you can change it. So as we mentioned earlier, wait, did I not die? Okay. As we mentioned before, the Bloodfire Army, that's these guys here and lots of other nasty guys, are actually invading the plane of water. So it's not all beautiful coral seas and warm tropical locations. There's also this rather blasted and scary looking place. But like all good invaders, they invade the most holy site first. So this used to be the beautiful coral life tree, basically the center of life for the denizens of the plane of water, and that is where the Bloodfire Army attacked first.
It's driven their great iron spike into it and lit it on fire.
Who are you?
That is a player currently playing.
They're gonna let go. Oh,
they're now internet famous on YouTube.
Congratulations, Baylife.
This is, we're playing on our test chart here, so there are other players around. And
Simon is just aggroing all kinds of stuff today.
Yeah, I am. I thought I was, I guess I didn't turn aggro off. Anyway. Let's see,
So one of the aspects of Rift that's always been true is we try and reward people for exploring. We have our artifact system of collectibles. You go to that mountaintop, hey, cool, there's an artifact here. It's probably a rarer one. Or there's cairns. Or in this particular case, there are the puzzles. And Simon will talk a little bit about what's going on here.
So, players who've been playing Rift for a long time will know that if they find some secret place, they might actually stumble across one of the puzzles or something to do. I kind of like notched them up a couple this time. They're a little bit bigger and more elaborate, as you can see. They're also repeatable, so this time you would get your unique reward for doing it the first time, but you can come back and do it again and get more rewards if you want. So this particular one here is it's like a plane of water, three-dimensional maze, makes you...
I think this one is definitely somebody's nightmare.
Somebody's nightmare and another person's dream. I love this. Okay, so there were actually lots of smaller puzzles so that you have to get keys for that will allow you to progress through to get to the end of this. In fact, I didn't actually show you right at the beginning. I tease you by showing you the chest you can get to right at the beginning. But
this is just, you know, this is really the continuing legacy of Rift. These are features that players have come to expect, and we're absolutely going to deliver them, right? This is what people love in the game, and everybody has different play styles, but we want to make sure that what we've been famous for continues to be supported.
Didn't take note of the colour of the torches at the top, so I can't really know. All right. Water comes in many different forms, one of them being ice. One of our all-time favourite zones for our players has been
Iron Pine
Peak, which was an ice zone, and players have said, more ice zones, please, more snow. So there's a frozen zone.
That looks amazing. I have to say though, when I play with Selenia, with my wife, she's going to have to put on a sweater because every time we went through Iron Pine Peaks, she always said she felt too cold.
Well, she might be cold here.
This is very cold here.
This is the Tarkin Glacier. This is a glacier on kind of the edge of reality, on the edge of the cosmos. So there's all these sorts of Cthulhianic creatures kind of trapped in the ice, and this is where things start to get a little bit funky, a little bit even beyond planar, a little more what we're just calling cosmic in Rift at this point in time. So this is actually the entrance to one of our dungeons in the expansion. And Simon, if you take a look on up into the background, that in the background is called Mount Shirax. It's known as the Cosmic Mountain in the game, and that's one of the raid zones launching with Nightmare Tide. And you can definitely say things get a little bit funky in there.
And how many dungeons, how many raids launching with the expansion?
I believe it's 6 dungeons launching with the expansion, one of which has already been pre-released, 4 of which are totally, completely new dungeons, and 2 of which are level increases on classic dungeons that people really enjoyed. So we have a little bit of a redux on the Iron Tomb coming back, and we're really hoping people dig it, because it was great content back then, and now it's got some tweaks to it for a new generation of players to enjoy.
I have a lot of fond and sometimes frustrating memories of trying to gear up in Iron Tombs.
One of the other new features I'm really excited about, ever since the beginning of Rift, we've had the 6 planar types, 6 different Rift types, and we've added sort of gameplay to them, but this is the first time that we've actually also added a whole new art type. So we have Nightmare Rifts now. We not only add a new art type, and it looks like I've got a few players here who are like,
well, this is a live server, so they can play if they want to, but we're going to demo right here anyways. But Nightmare Rifts introduced a new gameplay style as well. So as you know, with traditional Rifts, they typically have 4 or 5 stages, and then you're done. With these Nightmare Rifts, there's effectively an unlimited number of stages. Your goal is to get as far as you possibly can and really challenge yourself, or your party in this particular case. So the stages will get more complex, more challenging the further you go, and the timers will continue to reduce the further you go. The last time we checked, there was over 120 bosses already created for these, and you know, some of those are fairly straightforward, others are more complex. You kind of feel like you're in the middle of a high-end raid fight, and because these are open world, obviously, these kind of scale to the number of people around you.
they're going to be a bit surprised when I start dev nuking this.
Yes, I believe so. There's leaderboards for this as well, so if you really want to flex your muscles and show people how far you're going. I know last week the highest stage anyone had gotten to in testing was stage 89, and just recently I think someone just trumped that and got to stage 120.
No, they're not. That's Mike.
Oh.
That's Mike.
That's our lead content designer there doing some testing in the office right now. So hopefully this doesn't screw up the leaderboard at all for those folks at home.
Well, it's on PTS, so...
Yeah, exactly. The other thing about the Nightmare Rifts is that they're really trying to introduce a little more strategy and tactics, to some of these stages. There are power-ups that persist through different stages, so it's kind of up to you to choose, is now the right time to use the power-up? Maybe this is an AoE that kills a lot of small guys, things like that. So, you know, do you wait till stage 53 to pop that open, or what are you going to do? There's also items that can allow you to skip forward in stages, so a little bit like Bubble Bobble, you know, pick up the parasol and move forward 5 stages instantly.
And what's your sort of intended time for somebody to run through the stages? Is it something that, you know, if you're going to go up to 120, is that something you're going to be in there for a couple of hours doing, or?
You're probably going to be in there for a while if you're going to try and really push the number. You know, it could be up to an hour.
It's also going to very much depend on your skill level and the coordination of your group and stuff like that. The more coordinated groups will probably go faster than sort of like the pugs, so to speak.
Yeah, one of the other things we're hoping to add probably a little bit after launch is actually an instance version of this. So those people that want to come in a pre-made and really, you know, do a hardcore challenge mode can come in and really flex their might and get up on the leaderboard. Since, you know, Rifts are open world content, anyone can join in, drop out. And the other great thing about Nightmare Rifts is they're not just in the expansion. They're also going to be throughout the old world. So, you know, you're level 10, you're out in Free March, you might encounter a Nightmare Rift. Now, I don't expect you to go through 100 stages in a level 10 Nightmare Rift, but you're going to get introduced to the mechanics, you know, see how things work, and you'll be a little bit better prepared for going into dungeons or, you know, future Nightmare Rifts in the high-level areas. There's actually another feature I wanted to mention about low-level characters. So Rift does have a mentoring system where high-level characters can go to low-level areas and reap rewards. We're actually expanding that for Nightmare Tide to have mentoring work the other direction as well, as long as you have a sponsor or you're in an appropriate instant adventure group. So you could be a level 10 character, hit instant adventure, and bam, you're in the plane of water, you know, group with level 60 characters. Your abilities are scaled up. You have basic competency. You will not be given any additional abilities, but the abilities you have will be a little more appropriate. Now, you're not going to be as effective, obviously, as a true level 60 character with great gear, but you can get out there and play and experience what Rift really has to offer and get beyond kind of the starter zones and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I know that I spent a lot of time when I was leveling my rogue in instant adventure, using that as an easy way to jump in and get some levels and go through some content. So having some more variety in that is definitely something that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, because one of the things that makes instant adventure fun a lot of the times is when you get that huge group of people, right? It's kind of like when you're doing a zone event. You've got a bunch of people, and you're all riding your horses across the land and going to the next objective and defeating the creatures, and yeah.
Yeah, one of our favorite memories of Rift is that launch, or one of the beta weekends, where we were just in Free March and leveling through the content, and then a huge zone invasion comes in, and, you know, in beta everybody flocked to it. It was fantastic.
I remember it well because I built those zone events.
Yeah, that was fantastic. It was a lot of fun.
But yeah, the team is definitely adding new zone events to the high-level zones as well, and we're going to see over time if we can get a little bit more of that feeling back into the game of these huge zone invasions, as well as all the other content that we now offer in the game.
I know that you just released, well, not just, but just a little while ago, you released new souls for each of the callings. Any new souls coming with this expansion?
So actually, those souls were originally planned for this expansion, but we got in there and we were playing them and we realized, hey, you know what? These are ready. And that's something that I think sets us apart from some other developers. Is we tried it out, we said, this is ready. Why would we not release these now? Why wouldn't we get people used to these souls, playing with them, discover what issues they're going to have? And, you know, those souls have gone through tweaks since then. Anytime you add something as complicated as the soul of the game, things definitely get shaken up. But I think we've got the souls in a great spot now for when people come back for Nightmare Tide and give us a shot.
I know it still blows my mind healing on my warrior. It's just not.
You know, Rift has always been a little bit different. I remember at launch when, you know, there's tanking rogues. People were up in arms. They were like, that's crazy. You can't have that. Well, now we've got tanking mages, healing rogues, all kinds of stuff. Dogs and cats sleeping together. It's, you know.
And even right at launch, there was one spec that you could go with your warrior that made him ranged warrior, just spamming one ability. And that was only for, I think, 3 weeks it lasted or something like that.
And then when Storm Legion was
Storm
launched, we
Legion
obviously
came out,
released the Tempest, which allowed a full-fledged ranged DPS class. I mean, for those of you out there that are not really familiar with Rift, our class system is extremely in-depth. We give you you so many ways to play this game, so many different choices you can make. You can really build the build that you want to play for the type of activity you're doing, whether you're PvPing, excuse me, you're raiding, you're out there doing open world content, you know, in a group, solo, anything. There's a build for you, and there's a build that'll fit your play style. So this is the minion system. Minions are a new type of collectible to Rift, and the couple exciting things about these is it's actually account-wide collectibles. Any minion you collect will be available to your entire account as opposed to any individual character, and the system is running always in the background, irrespective of what character you have logged into the game. So right now, it's very unfortunate it didn't make this build. It missed it by a couple of hours. There would be a 3D image of your actual minion there, which is a creature in the game that you've gone out and you've collected via a variety of means. Maybe you've completed an artifact set. Maybe you've beaten a dungeon, or any number of other ways that you get rewards in the game right now. You collect that minion. That minion will have attributes to him. So, for example, that right there is a life type minion. And he will excel at doing life-type activities. So you can send your minion out on missions, and when they complete these missions, which are time-based, you will get better rewards based on how well your minion's attributes tie to the type of mission you sent him on. So if he's a life guy, send him on a life mission, he'll do better. The missions typically have 2, and maybe in some cases 3 attributes to them, so it's really matching up your minion to the type of mission to reap the biggest rewards. So for example, you want a minion to go out and harvest for you. If he's good at harvesting and he's harvesting from the plane of life, hey, he's going to do better. Maybe you have one that's to go assassinate somebody and get some gear for you. Hey, assign the right one and level them all up, because the level of them will also determine the gear that you're getting back. It's all, you're going to get a reward. The scaling of the reward is really what changes when you match minions up, and the cost of the mission that you're sending them out on. Some have costs, some are free, some are just time. And as you can see, they can range from 1 minute to multiple hours, many hours, or even multiple days in some cases.
And that's the circles in the middle of the
yes, that's the amount of time that they take.
You can have multiple missions going on at the same time, so you can, or adventures.
Yes, adventures running at once, yeah.
And that's like, for example, this character has 2 slots open. Can you expand on that via in-game means?
All characters will start with 1 of those. If you pre-order one of the digital collector's editions, you can expand that by 1 for all of your characters, and then you will be able to spend credits to expand that in the game as well. And for those players that don't choose to support us, there are ways that other people can, they can buy a Rex, they can work in game to earn currency to do that. So yeah, this will be available to people of all types.
So I thought that I was really excited when I got to jump in game and all of a sudden I could tank on my mage or I could heal on my warrior. But that footage, I mean, that's fantastic. Just everything from, the verticality of the water and jumping out of water at, a couple 100 feet high and all that sort of stuff. Those zones are looking absolutely wonderful. It must have been fun to start going into the plains and be able to, as much as Rift is fantasy and it's sort of that, but you could almost break the rules of reality in Rift.
Absolutely. It's great to get to play in the plains now. Players have been asking to go here for a long time. The team's been asking to go here for a long time. And I'm really proud of what the team's been able to accomplish with it. I think this is really the best Rift we've made yet. Yeah. I'm really absolutely thrilled that this expansion is coming out on October 8th.
Oh, October, that's really soon. Wow.
It's coming up. The team is back at the office right now, polishing it up.
Yeah. So the souls were released just a little while ago. You mentioned in the video that they were ready, and that's fantastic. Right. But when you go home at the end of the day, you're not testing anything specific. Which one of the new souls, sort of not the callings, the souls, which one draws you in?
For me, I started the game life as a cleric. I've always been a cleric. I've been a cleric for years in many different games. And when Storm Legion came out, I swapped over to mage, and I've not looked back since. Yeah. I really enjoy my mage. I love playing a Chloromancer. I love that we break the rules in Rift of what everyone else expects in these sorts of games. Yeah. And Rift's going to keep doing that. We're going to keep breaking the rules and making new experiences for everybody to have.
So you're staying with Chloromancer, or are you getting into the tanking as well?
I'm getting into the tanking as well, because in some other MMOs, I've also been a pretty hardcore tank. But right now, I like to stick to the healing a lot more than I do anything else right now.
Well, it's looking pretty exciting. I'm really excited to actually get into that on the live servers. That's going to be an absolute blast. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, both of you, and really looking forward to seeing everybody in game.
Absolutely looking forward to everyone out there getting into the game, trying it out, and come play Rift.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.